is Alexander. Shabbat for three. Bingo!
Carter will get it for the win. Got it! He is hard to believe.
Here's Jordan.
Yes! The Magic, a 360 turn with the dribble. Magic down the middle. Gives underneath to Worthy. Slam dunk. Third in the corner. Double fake.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Dime Dropper, part of our season coverage, and we're going to do a little mid-season recap or look forward to the second half of the season, I should say, an intermission, so to speak. To do this with me, I've welcomed back maybe the first repeat guest on the show.
Envy's the first repeat
You're
guest.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. Envy was the first repeat guest. So we got a second repeat guest. One of the best reviewed guests, actually. New York turned LA native, Lucas Lyon. Back to welcoming you back to the show. But it's crazy because everything you said about the Knicks, I mean, you've got to be impressed with how this has gone.
Oh, I mean, thank you for having me back, but I am so happy with what's happened with the Knicks. I mean, it's everything I could have hoped for and almost more. I think that we've done a really great job all around. I think our front office is really great, and I think our coaching staff is really tailored towards our team. I mean, I think we have 4 Kentucky guys on our team. Yeah, we have 4 Kentucky players, and having Kenny Payne there is great. He's been really, really positive for the development. Having Johnny Bryant there to help develop RJ is going to be fantastic. I mean, he's been playing phenomenal basketball the past month and a half. He had a rough start to the season, but he's been shooting like 50% from three-point line in the past month. He had a great February. Julius Randle, I mean, congrats on the All-Star. It's well deserved.
Very.
I think if the Knicks if they keep their position and they keep playing the level of basketball we're capable of, he's most improved player for sure.
Julius Randle?
Yeah, most improved player for sure. I think, deserves to be in the MVP conversation. I don't think he deserves the MVP award because that's Joel Embiid all day. But the fact that he's truly led this Knicks team beyond anyone's expectations is something that deserves significant recognition. So,
I mean, right now we got the Knicks currently standing at 5th in the East, 19 and 18. It's very tight between the 4-seed Celtics all the way down to, I would even say, the Wizards now. I know the Wizards are 6 games under 500. Celtics are 2 games over. But that's only around 3.5 games.
Yeah. And,
I think that, besides the Cavs, Magic, and Pistons, I mean, we talked about the Pistons weren't going to be very good. They've completely performed to standard. Cavaliers around the same with the injuries that they've had. They've clearly showed improvement with the guards, but their whole roster together, it's like, Drummond is a moving part right now.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going to happen to him. And then Orlando's been killed by the injury bug, but I don't think anyone's been losing sleep over the fact that they're not good. I think they're one of the more boring and stagnant teams in limbo in the league.
Oh, yeah, the Magic I've watched a couple of their games, and they're very stagnant. They're very reliant on someone getting hot, which
Terrence Ross usually
which doesn't work exactly. The one thing I'll say about the Pistons is that I'm really happy that Dennis Smith Jr. got traded there. I think that trade for Derrick Rose was a really, really great trade.
I was going to ask you about that.
He had a rough year last year. He had injuries. He had a death in his family. He wasn't in the mind state to play good basketball.
He was playing decent, though, Derrick Rose last year.
Derrick Rose was.
Oh, you're talking about Dennis Smith.
Dennis Smith Jr. He just wasn't in the mind state to be playing good basketball, which is understandable. And then he comes in ready to play this season, but there was a whole change in the front office. So the front office that wanted him there was now gone. And so he kind of already knew he was on his way out. And so earlier this season, he volunteered himself to go to the G League because he said, I need to play. I need to get better. I'm not doing that in the Knicks. I'm going to go play for Westchester. And I thought that was a really, really bold and really honorable move because it's like you can play. And that if a team needs you, you'll be able put up good numbers for them and play well. And so now seeing him in Detroit, now that he's starting because of the injuries, he's averaging like 12 and 6 a game. He had a triple-double the other night, 2 games before the All-Star break. So it's been really great to see him play. Detroit's a weird team. I don't really like Jeremy Grant because I think him leaving Denver was beyond stupid. But I'm really happy that he has the chance to play.
Yeah, I mean, let's move back to the Knicks. I was gonna say, man, if you guys make the playoffs, I mean, let alone the play-in, and I think the play-in seems like somewhat, I don't want to say a lock, but it seems like it's pretty likely at this point, at least.
I mean, I don't want to say a lock just because right now, since the East is so close, it's gonna come down to our last 2 weeks, and our last 6 games. 6 of our last 9 games are a Western Conference road trip where we played the Clippers, the Suns, and the Lakers.
It's going to be tough.
And so it's going to be tough finishing the season on that. Mm-hmm. And then we come back and we play the Spurs and the Celtics.
Not easy either.
And so it's going to be tough, and I think it's going to come down to that. If we can steal 1 or 2 of those games against like the Clippers, Suns, or Lakers, and come back to Madison Square Garden and play well. We have fans in the stadium, so that'll be a big help. I really think it's going to come down to that. I don't want to say the plan's a lock just because you never know with the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
I think
you never know, too, if, like, let's say Julius misses a week or 2 of basketball, that could be losses right there.
Oh, yeah, and you also don't know if Julius is going to get burnt out. I mean, everyone knows Tibbs likes playing his stars.
Julius and RJ Barrett, just want to say this to the viewers, Julius Randle and RJ Barrett have played in every single game this season. And that, I cannot even stress in 2021 how important and how awesome that is.
Julius plays 35 minutes a game.
37 according to the...
37. Okay,
36.7 here.
So for a while, he was first in the league in minutes and RJ was second. And then now he's, I believe, third in the league in minutes. He plays hard as hell every night he can. And the one thing we're worried about is him getting burnt out a little bit because, the other night we were playing the Pistons and we were up 20 and Tibbs had Julius in. And it's like, we're up 20, take him out, let him get those extra minutes of rest. He played 41 minutes the night before. Or it'll be like, we'll have it back-to-back and he'll play 41 minutes and 39 minutes in a back-to-back game. And it's like, I'm worried that in a month and a half, he's going to get burnt out from playing that. But from what I've read in the Players Tribune, his interview with JJ Redick, he's prepared for this. And so he spent the extended offseason really, really working to be ready for this season and to make New York proud and to show everyone that last season was a fluke and that, the Beyblade memes and all the criticism he got was deserved and was heard, and he's made the necessary improvements. So it's really important to...
Someone else we got to shout out to is Emmanuel Quickley, who we didn't even talk about in the preview.
No.
We didn't talk about in the New York State of Mind, I should say, not the preview. And he's just been like a revelation, one of the best rookies in the league.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his
floater game is great.
I mean, he got snubbed from the USA versus World lineup announcements. I know they didn't play, but... he got snubbed just because he's from the U.S. and there are a bunch of other guards that were probably better.
They had a roster for that?
Yeah, they had.
And he wasn't on it?
He wasn't on it, no.
What about Peyton Pritchard? Was he on it?
Peyton Pritchard, I think so. I don't remember. I just saw Obi wasn't on it, obviously.
But Obi's not.
Yeah. And I want to say one thing. Obi isn't a bust. I know a lot of people want to jump to him being a bust. He's playing behind Julius Randle, and... he doesn't get minutes.
He was injured in the beginning of the season.
He was injured in the beginning of the season, and he came in being the primary option and a senior in Dayton playing 30 minutes a game to, being in the NBA, and it's a big adjustment for players to make. And I think people are really, really quick to jump on a player and say they're a bust. They're a bust.
Very quick.
And you look at someone like Andrew Wiggins. I mean, I've been a big Andrew Wiggins criticizer for a long time.
Same.
And you look at him now in Golden State, and he's playing
very
great basketball.
Yeah. It's just not the expectation. I mean, the expectation. He hasn't definitely not fulfilled his potential. And it depends, what's your definition of a bust? Is there a criteria for the first overall pick that need to be like an all-star? Because, like, if I guess you could say that Wiggins is a bust in that regard, but he's still a good basketball player that can help teams.
I mean, it's beyond being a good basketball player that can help teams. Like you take someone like, for instance, Patty Mills is a good basketball player who can help teams.
Very much.
Andrew Wiggins comes in, and now he's the second or third option on the Warriors.
Yeah, second more often than not.
And so being able to step up and be the second option behind someone like Steph Curry, forget being an all-star. That doesn't really matter at this point. Once Clay comes back, and the Warriors next year, they're gonna be a problem.
Very much so.
And they're gonna be a problem because now they have another defensive presence, someone to help Clay, someone to help Draymond. And I think Wiseman's been fantastic. I really, really like him.
Yeah, the only thing with Wiseman is they took him out of the starting lineup for a better fit for Looney, and then he got injured and he missed a bunch of games.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like struggled to get back into form. I love the potential of Wiseman. I think he started out the season showing a lot of it, but it's tough because it's like this was always the interesting thing with the Warriors getting such a high pick was like you have a team that's on schedule to want to be a contender now, and like not this year, but this is Curry's prime. Curry's one of the best players of all time, and Wiseman's a rookie. So like you obviously, it's nice to have those young guys, but it's hard for a young player to develop on a win now team.
Yeah, I think that, but I agree with that, except for the fact that the Warriors have Draymond Green, and having someone like Draymond is like in New York how we have Derrick Rose, where they're a player who's going to hold you accountable on the court, they're going to hold you accountable off the court, and so when Derrick Rose came to New York, the first thing he did was he took Obi and Emmanuel Quickley out to dinner. He gave him his phone number. He said, "Call me whenever," and he's been their like voice of reason and been a big help for them. And I want to go back to Emmanuel Quickley because he's exceeded everyone's expectations. He was, he came in like the 25th pick in the draft, and CBS gave us a D+ on that draft pick.
Wow.
And he's just been great. He has poise. He's not afraid of missing shots, and I think that's big for rookies. Because a lot of rookies get really discouraged from shooting, and he'll have games. I mean, he'll have his rookie games where he shoots 0 for 9. But the fact is that he's not going to be afraid of taking that 10th shot. He's not going to be afraid of coming out the next game and shooting another 10 shots, because next game he could have 10 shots and have 25 points. He's a really smart player. It's clear that he's really focused on the correct things. I'm worried. One thing I'm worried about is him kind of falling into the more modern point guard style, because I sometimes see him pulling threes from a little too far back. He'll shoot like a 30-footer when he shouldn't really be shooting those.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Sometimes they go in, and it's great, and it's a good shot. He definitely tries to draw fouls a little too much. He's not, you're not Trae Young yet. Mm-hmm. And you're good at it, but you're on the Knicks and you're a rookie, and you're not always going to get those calls. So, but I like the aggressiveness to try to get to the line, but then there's times where and Clyde always says this. He says instead of shooting the floater and trying to draw the foul, just stop and pop a jumper.
There's so many players in the NBA that don't do that
exactly.
anymore.
And so I think sometimes modern guards try to make things a little more difficult for themselves.
Oh, definitely.
And I hope that Tibbs and Derrick Rose especially help point him in the direction of let's make it as easy as possible. Because Tibbs isn't this modern play style coach. He's defense. He doesn't like a lot of threes. He doesn't like. He just likes good basketball. And I've been beyond impressed by Emmanuel Quickley. He's incredible from the free throw line, and he plays great at end of games. And so I know he's gonna have a great career.
So if you guys make the playoffs, you thinking Tibbs Coach of the Year for sure?
Yeah.
I agree.
Wow.
I think he has to be. I mean, I had the Knicks finishing the worst in the conference. I really had the Knicks finishing the worst in the conference. And I think that's more of two things, a testament to Tibbs and the coaching, but also Julius Randle. I said, if Julius Randle's the best player on your team, you're not doing very well in this league. That's because Julius Randle shut me up. And I actually like Julius Randle. Watched him at Kentucky. I remember that championship and his run in 2014. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I felt very sympathetic for him when he got injured and fractured his tibia. I think it was fracturing his tibia on the first his first game of his career.
First 15 minutes.
Yeah, and I got to see him, but I was also a big Julius Randle advocate when Laker fans were getting on him for having tunnel vision and being reckless, because I used to think like he actually really worked hard. He was something the Lakers needed, and I also saw him at Pepperdine working out one time, but I just it wasn't more so about hating on Julius. It's just I just didn't really think that if Julius Randle is your best player, you're not going to get anywhere in this league, and he has proven us all wrong. So 19 and 18 is where the Knicks stand right now. Let's talk about some other teams. The Wizards have picked it up. It's all about Russell Westbrook. And this is what I can't stand, though. They're one of our dime dropper teams, and a lot of people make so many excuses for these stars, man. Like, I get it. Everybody, because nowadays in today's NBA, we're moving into it's all the organization's fault, not the stars. For too long, we blame the players. In my opinion, I just think that it's a mix. I think that there's a huge lack of accountability factor to the players in today's media. And I think that they pick like the wrong players to get, like they'll bombard Paul George and guys like that incessantly, but because they're in the spotlight. But a guy like Bradley Beal, who in the beginning of the season he was putting up great numbers. I'm not saying he was playing bad by any means. He was playing well, but he wasn't playing great just because he was scoring 30 a game. Because his defensive energy wasn't there. He wasn't leading by any means. His points, it was just points. Like, you're just putting points in where you're losing every time. You're not controlling pace. You're not dictating the flow of the game. You're not, like, there's like a 30 points when it's really affecting the game, then there's just 30 points. Yeah. But exactly. I think it was mostly, though, the Wizards' struggles. Not just, they had Rui Hachimura injured, but mostly Westbrook. In the beginning of the season, he said it himself. He didn't look the same. He wasn't attacking the basket. No. So what is Russell Westbrook when he's not attacking the basket?
Nothing.
Exactly. Not a very great player. So now that he's starting to, he feels a little healthier, getting to the rim more, he's starting to turn into that old Russ, and it's not about the triple-doubles. He was putting up those triple-doubles in the beginning of the season with all those empty rebounds and passing into trailers, but it's the best way Russell Westbrook has been is when he really creates for people, when people really are worried about him scoring.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real change with the Wizards. Obviously, Rui Hachimura back. They've had injuries. Thomas Bryant is out for the season now. They've had a lot of injuries. It's not been an easy season. But Bradley Beal at one point, when Westbrook was playing really badly, and he was seeing all the free Beal, hashtag free Beal, all this stuff, when it's like, guys, they just got Russell Westbrook. Let's give it to the end of the season. Beal wanted to be in Washington, D.C. Yeah. He re-signed. So I thought it was like, and you saw his wife tweeting and stuff like that too. I feel as though like these people were getting in his head. And I saw him pouting and like he wouldn't get back on defense sometimes. He would just complain. And now the whole mood of this team has changed.
Yeah, did you see the article in The Athletic?
No, I don't have a subscription.
So there was this article in The Athletic about Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal and how they have this friendship. And when Bradley Beal was going to resign, and when he had the option, he was looking elsewhere, and he called Damian Lillard and he said, "What do I do? Because you've stayed in Portland. They came in the league at the same time. You've stayed in Portland. You guys have been moderately successful, but you could go elsewhere. He could go anywhere in the league, anywhere he wanted to, team up with anyone." And they talked about how they value creating something where they are rather than going out and
organically.
Exactly. Creating something organically where they are and building with their city. And then you look at their lives, and it's like Bradley Beal has been working out with Drew Hanlon for his entire career. Bradley Beal played for the same AAU team that's now named after him because he funds them. And Damian Lillard, instead of playing for one of Oakland's, one of the Bay Area, premier AAU teams, he played for like the local Oakland high school. And, he could have gotten D1. He could have went anywhere, but instead he wanted to play somewhere that represented him. He got his, he went to Weber State, right?
Who?
Lillard.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So, he went there and he knew his worth. And so Bradley Beal wants to stay in Washington. It's not that he would rather win a championship in Washington than go elsewhere. And then come to New York, because I know the Knicks want him. Come to New York and win a championship for the Knicks. And, so there's something that shows true character in that. And then I think the thing is that people expect a superstar to come in and everything to just click. And the fact is that Westbrook was coming off an injury. He's coming into a new environment with a coach he hadn't played for in a while. And
who's also been terrible. Here's
yeah.
another thing about the Wizards. I will say, I know I just gave Beal some shit and I gave Russell Westbrook a bunch of shit, but that's only because I believe that basketball is a player sport, and no matter what the coach does, I still feel as though the players are on the court that can dictate the effort and tempo of a game. However, if I was to say that this Wizards team has been put in the right positions to win by the organization and the coach, I'd be lying to you. They've been a poorly run organization. They've done a terrible job constructing this roster. Scott Brooks should have been fired months ago. Somehow, because Beal and Westbrook are so good, and honestly, Rui Hachimura is a talented young player. I think his defense is very good because he's stronger, and he's got that good build to guard like the LeBrons of the world and types of, and he's not bad laterally either. I think the Thomas Bryant injury hurt, but I also think another guy that I don't like the way he's been getting developed. Like, they're not doing a good enough job developing him, in my opinion. Is Denny Avdia. I think he's very talented, has a lot of potential, but he's not getting the best development right now. However, if this Wizards team makes the playoffs, nothing better than playoff experience.
Exactly. And I think that the thing is that Scott Brooks has not been. He hasn't been a good coach. I don't think he's ever really been a good coach.
And if people want specifics, the reasons are lineup decisions. Like, he'll often put in 3-guard lineup, 3-point guards. Yeah. Ish Smith, Westbrook, and Raul Neto at once, which is a total, like, what are those guys doing off the ball? Secondly, what are they doing defensively getting over screens? It's not enough length and size against these modern guards and forwards. And then, benching Denny Avdia and, leaving Davis Bertans in too long at the beginning of the season. That's another reason they've been doing so much better is Bertans is starting to finally find his form. Yeah. Not playing Mo Wagner, not playing Isak Bonga in terms where they needed some defense. Just a team when a team like your Knicks team, you can say it's the opposite. When a team is, their coaches are doing the part to have the team communicating well, and the effort level is there. The Wizards were not like that in the beginning.
I mean, I watch Knicks games and I can see when something's happening and I know, okay, Tibbs is going to call a timeout right now. And every time I think that, he calls a timeout. It's every time something goes, anytime a team goes on a run, he doesn't let the run continue. He calls a timeout, he ends the run, he makes a play, makes an inbounds play or whatever it is, and we get a bucket or two. He makes a lineup decision. He has his issues. He hasn't been a great third quarter coach, but that's beyond the point. The thing with the Wizards is that, Westbrook was definitely more hesitant. In the beginning of the year, he was shooting way too much.
And these are all jumpers. They weren't around the basket. So it's
jumpers.
like, okay.
And the thing is that Westbrook's a player like Jimmy Butler who needs to get going in the inside a little bit, get a couple good touches around the rim, get a couple good, 8-footers.
And then he just sees that ball go in.
He sees the ball go in. He gets 8 points on the board in, the first, 12 minutes he's playing, 13 minutes he's playing. Then he can step out, shoot a couple 15-footers, hit a couple threes. But the fact is that when he comes out and he shoots 3 threes and he misses them all, and then he takes a couple mid-ranges and he makes one, and suddenly he's 1 for 5.
Yeah.
And then that causes him to push the ball more, and it causes him to turn the ball over more. It causes empty possessions. It causes a lot of negative things for the team. But then at the end of the game, he always has good stats. Westbrook's always going to be Westbrook. He's always going to have his 18 points, his 10 assists, and 8 rebounds, or whatever it is.
I think the biggest thing about Russ and Beal have been the difference that they've made defensively, just effort-wise. That's the biggest thing I've noticed. It's just like, we talk about all these stars and what they're doing. They're doing all this. Why do we only talk about offense? We never talk about what they do on defense. And I think too many stars get passes for that. But let's move on to another star who gets a lot of passes from people, and I've purposely watched them this season to see it. Their coach just got fired, though, and they're 2-0 under the new coach, Nate McMillan. The Atlanta Hawks currently sit at 11th in the East. I had them at 9th. They've had their injury bug as well with Bogdanovic, Gallinari, and now DeAndre Hunter. They're 16-20, which is literally a game out of the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this team. It's really going to come down to Trae Young being a leader. How much is Nate McMillan going to put him in positions where it's not just him dominating the ball?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen a Nate McMillan coach team in a while. I think I have a lot of issues personally with Trae Young with the way he plays. He plays with a lot of what looks like effort on offense and then no effort on defense. And he's a liability at end of games. I've seen it multiple times this season where he tries to draw fouls too much.
Yep, and they don't call it in the fourth.
And they don't call it in the fourth, but it's also that teams aren't fouling him because from what I've watched when we've played them.
You played them twice and beaten them twice.
And both times when we beat them the first time, we were down 15.
Yeah, I watched that. I remember that game vividly. They should not have lost. And Trey blew it. Trey totally blew it.
And the thing is that when a player's guarding him and they know that he's not going to try and take a step back three and create space, he's going to try and lean into you. I saw it a couple times. Emmanuel Quickley was guarding him, and he just put his hands behind his back because he knew he was going to lean into him, and he was expecting the contact. So if he knew he was going to lean into him, and he didn't give him that contact, he knew it was going to be a brick.
Yep.
And so he does that a lot instead of trying to find the best shot possible. I think John Collins is great.
Yeah, I just don't think it's same thing with, as I say, with Denny Avdia. I just think there's ways that you can try to develop this guy more than just making him a pick and pop guy, slasher.
Yeah.
John Collins gets his points a lot of times because he works for his points. He'll be on the offensive glass. He'll cut. Like, this guy has untapped potential. What I think the Hawks need to do is obviously institute more ball movement into their offense. And this is when we find out. Is it going to be if they keep doing just high pick and roll with Trey, it's going to show to me it's not just the coach. It's Trae Young. That's what he wants to do. That's how he wants to play. At the end of the day, he's the one the point guard on these teams in the NBA. They're the ones out there that can call a play or call an audible and read the defense. They're the ones at the end of the day that make the call. Yeah,
I think the Hawks theoretically should be a better team than they are.
Yeah,
they have the personnel. They've had injuries. Clint Capella's a beast. He's
been very good.
He's been really, really good. He's a threat everywhere. I think that the high pick and roll with Trey is a good play.
It's amazing. You get guaranteed a good shot out of it. The problem is the ball doesn't move, and then that puts people in boxes sometimes.
The thing is that the DeAndre Hunter injury was
really big.
Really hurt them because he's playing really, really good basketball.
Yeah, he was great.
Cam Reddish has been playing better basketball.
Better, but still, he still struggles to find consistency. I mean, I think a lot of Hawks fans are growing a little frustrated with him that he hasn't produced at all. But once again, it's another reason why I think it's partially the thing is because he doesn't get a chance to really. I've seen potential from him. But just making him Cam missing so many open threes, like maybe that's not really his game.
That's the thing is that with players like that, you need to get. That is when you can look to the organization and say, what is the organization doing wrong? And, I can go back to the Knicks again where we didn't have that before. We didn't have an organization that would say, okay, what are we doing wrong? How can we better build these players? And now with like Leon Rose and World Wide West and Steve Stout and Tom Thibodeau, everyone looked at, okay, how can we make this team better? Now we make our players better. And they brought in the correct personnel, correct coaching personnel to help develop our players. And the Hawks need to do it because they have so many good assets. And they could be a very, very dangerous playoff team in 2 years. And,
I mean, here's my thing. Even with the whole heliocentric offense of Trae Young dominating the ball, I still think if it comes down to it, like, they should still make the playoffs this year. Or at least the play-in.
They should make the play-in. I mean...
He should be able to close out these games, man. And DeAndre's coming back. It's not like he's out for the year. He's coming back.
I just think they should make the play-in, but I don't think they make the playoffs.
All right. We'll see how it goes. And then right now, the Indiana Pacers have struggled a little bit. They've had a lot of injuries. T.J. Warren, they had the trade. They haven't really gotten Karis LeVert. He hasn't played a game yet. Brogdon's fallen off a little bit.
He got hurt.
Oh, and got hurt. But they're the 10th seed, 16-19. Is it time to panic for them, or do you think they'll still be fine? Yeah,
they're fine.
They're fine, too.
They're fine. They've had injuries. They've had, we played them 3 times. And RJ plays great against. We have a great matchup against them, but they got a lot of their difficult matchups out of the way now. I think once people come back from injuries, they'll kind of hit their stride. They're a very good team. They get a little stagnant sometimes. Sabonis gets a little, he gets frustrated very easily sometimes, and they tend to flop when that happens. He also complains a lot, and so when he's not getting calls, he stops shooting well. And that's the thing is that he doesn't get calls, and he turns to the ref to complain, and then teams get buckets. And then he's more frustrated about the fact that he's not getting calls when maybe they are missing calls, but that's beyond the point. Excuse me, shut up and play basketball, Yeah. I mean, don't turn around and complain to the ref when, it's a 3-on-2 fast break and you're standing in the backcourt.
Yeah.
So it's things like that where they have their issues. I think once they're fully healthy and they're back, and this is why I don't think the Hawks are going to be a playoff team, is I think that the Pacers are a playoff team. I think that the Knicks are a playoff team, and I think the Hornets are potentially a playoff team.
Mm-hmm. That's a good segue right into the Hornets, who have been, and the Bulls, who have been pretty surprising, the both of them. They're right in that mix with these teams. Yeah. Currently, we have the Bulls at the 9th seed at 16 and 18. Zach LaVine's been having an amazing season.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much to say about it, except for he was just been a deserved All-Star. But do you see them making the play-in?
They're making the play-in.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they have a lot of assets. They have a lot of, Lauri Markkanen's been playing well.
So will you take the Wizards are not making the play-in in favor of Chicago?
I don't know. The play-in's
top 10.
Top 10, right?
Right now the Bulls are 9th and the Wizards are 12th, but they're separated by just 2 games.
I think I think that last spot for the play-in is gonna come down to the Bulls, the Wizards, and the Hawks. I think it's gonna be very close. It's probably gonna be a tiebreaker for at least one of the 2 of the teams. It just depends on how they can finish out the season. I think that the Bulls, they're not good in the clutch. They lose. They've lost. I think they're like 9-12 or 9-13 in games that are within 5 points within like the last 5 minutes of the game. And so they're not very good at closing out games. And sometimes it's just players are gonna do what they do. Like Damian Lillard is that game winner. Yeah. And there are just things like that are just gonna happen, and there's nothing you can really do about it. But the fact is that they don't play well in the clutch. They're a young team.
Yeah.
And Zach LaVine's playing great basketball, but I think also the rumors of him leaving are hurting them. Where's Zach LaVine going to go? Who's going to trade for him and stuff like that?
And this is where it's time for the Bulls organization to give him incentive to stay, because they're the Chicago Bulls. Like this is a dynasty. I know it's not the same now, but it's like they are still, those fans are craving for, like, this has been the worst period of Bulls basketball since Michael Jordan, since we've been alive.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Because they've always been competitive when we were kids.
Yeah.
And, it's sad to see that. But right now, at least they've got some optimism. I think Billy D is just a solid coach. He may not be a championship coach in the NBA, but he's not a bad coach by any means.
No, he's doing a decent job with the team. It's just, it's just
I don't think they have the talent. I'm surprised that they're doing this well.
And Thaddeus Young has been playing surprisingly well for them. Kobe White has been playing well. It's a team like, and an issue I have with the way basketball is now is that when a player isn't doing well on a team, it's not, okay, what can the front office do to keep them? It's what will the front office do so they can get something for them because they know they're going to leave. And it's like, so the Bulls are going to trade Zach LaVine because he's going to leave. Or the Wizards are going to trade Bradley Beal because he's going to leave in the summer, so they need to get something from him. But really it should be, okay, they want to keep Bradley Beal. They don't want to lose
it's him. Like the Bucks did with Giannis.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to lose him. So what can we do? Who can we trade for? We have to make the difficult decisions, to retain this player, because Zach LaVine's a franchise player. 100% is a franchise player. How old is he? He's like 23, right? 24?
Something like that.
He's young. And so, and he's playing incredible basketball right now. He's really, really hungry. He's very, he's just an all-around very good player.
Yeah.
And I think the Bulls have something there.
Yeah.
They just need a point guard. If Kobe White's it, then it's Kobe White.
Yeah.
And they just need a little bit better player development and maybe another better second option.
Yeah. That's I think the main thing. Better second option would be big time. I think so. Then we have the Raptors, who have started out slow, but I think they're gonna be fine. They're sitting at 8th place, 17-19. No, lost Ibaka, lost Gasol. Teams are starting to zero in on Siakam a little bit more. They know his game, and then Lowry is getting older. Still, he's still good, but I don't think there's too much there. Charlotte's been impressive. 7th seed, 17-18. LaMelo Ball's been really turning heads with his Rookie of the Year type stuff. They're exciting.
LaMelo Ball is the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
it's
pretty consensus.
It's not even a contest. It's not. The thing is that, Anthony Edwards, Emmanuel Quickley, Wiseman, they have rookie games. And LaMelo doesn't really have that. he has game. He comes out with poise. He doesn't have as many games where he's just kind of doing stupid rookie shit.
Yeah.
I think that
they're exciting. These guys. Terry Rozier's been killing it this year.
They're the most fun team I've watched. Just purely fun. I mean, their games are always going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something. Something crazy is going to happen. Gordon Hayward's been playing phenomenal basketball when he's playing.
21 points a game.
And it's one of those things where you look at it, it's like 21 points a game. What does he have? Probably like 6 rebounds and 3 assists or something?
5 rebounds, 4 assists.
Okay. So you look at that and you're like, all right, those are good stats, but the difference he makes on the court, the difference is just his presence makes is so dangerous because now he's someone that, Terry Rozier is a bucket getter, but he's also streaky.
Very.
Gordon's not streaky.
He's more
you give
consistent.
Gordon the ball, he's going to get a bucket. So then you have to be worried about that. And then you have people like Malik Monk, who's playing really well, PJ Washington, who's playing well, LaMelo, Terry Rozier,
Yeah. Look, I hope they make the plan. I think it looks like they're gonna at this point, and it's gonna just be fun, not because of LaMelo, just because just the vibe of their team is hilarious, and obviously they got a great broadcasting duo, Eric Collins, Del Curry.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it'll be fun. They're an exciting team.
Yeah, and it's great to have really fun teams playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So then we ended up with the big dogs. The Celtics, I've talked about them at length this season. I don't think there's too much to say for me. I talk about them every game. So I think it's all about health, getting Marcus Smart back, and just building consistency going into the playoffs for them.
I don't really like the Celtics that much this year. I think they're too stagnant. I think.
Oh yeah, we talked about this with Brad and all that.
I think that they need some change. I think that it's just, they're too predictable.
Yeah.
And Tatum, you can only stop so much. So
and JB's been unbelievable this season.
So they have the moves that you can't really stop, and like Tatum's sidestep is you can't guard it, and it's gonna go in or it's gonna miss.
Yeah,
and,
you got to live with the results there.
But the thing is that he relies on that too much. He relies on the shots that he knows they can't guard rather than taking the easy shot.
He thinks he's Kobe to some extent when he doesn't need to be 6'9".
Yeah.
6'10".
And the thing is, he's 6'10". He can take people off the dribble. He can shoot. So take him off the dribble, beat him to the basket.
And we saw this against the Wizards the other day where he went to the basket 3 times at the end of the game and he won them the game because he didn't settle. And if you talk about the Celtics, they've won their last 4 games going into the break, and a huge reason for that has been Kemba Walker's look better. Yeah. So it's really all about, to me, that's the biggest difference with the Celtics. The pre-bubble, the pre-glorified Summer League Celtics were great because Kemba was Kemba. Yeah. After the injury, he hasn't looked the same. So, for their sake, that's really what it comes down to. What about the Heat? They started out slow, but it's really, this season has shown us, 1, Jay Crowder was a bad loss, and 2, Jimmy Butler makes the team tick.
Yeah, Jay Crowder was a bad loss. Goran's been hurt.
Yeah.
So
but Jimmy buckets.
That's a big loss. But Jimmy is, he's a superstar for a reason, and he's one of those players that leaves it all on the court. He loves playing basketball. I think sometimes players treat playing basketball like it's a job because it is for them. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy, you see that every time he's on the court, he feels lucky to be on the court. Mm-hmm. And he feels really happy to be where he is. And that's great to see, and that rubs off on everyone else on the team. It rubs off on like the rookies like Kendrick, or the young players like Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero and Duncan and Bam, who come in and they're looking up to him, and they see he's someone that puts it all on the floor, who has fun, who really, really cares about everyone on the team, and then that makes them want to care for the guy next to them. Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, he's played 22 games this season. The Heat are 14-8 in the games that he plays. In the games that he doesn't play, they're 4-10.
Yeah.
Which tells you the whole story. I think the Heat are going to be fine. I think that I was hoping they would get Blake because I think that Olynyk is just not good enough to start. Mm-hmm. I think that like a loss like a Derrick Jones Jr. was really bad for them just because he kills them on the defensive end. And Olynyk's super one-dimensional to me.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think they're still going to be dangerous come playoff time. And I think they should try to make one little tweak to get Olynyk to the bench.
They need to fill that spot with Olynyk.
If they want to compete for championship.
He's a very good bench player.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
I'd love to have Olynyk coming off my bench because he can get hot very, very easily. He causes the defense a lot of issues because he can play around the basket, but he can also shoot. He's just not He's not a starting player, in my opinion.
Bucks, I think it's pretty safe what we know about them. I think that they're starting to figure it out as the season has gone on more and more. I think that it's all about having Holiday healthy and then Giannis playing hard. And I mean, ultimately, though, man, I just don't think the team's going to win a championship because Giannis, it was too short of a turnaround, the glorified Summer League to now. I just don't think Giannis has made that improvement to his game to take this team over the hump.
Not really. I mean, the Bucks are. I think Drew is a great addition. I mean, they really, really needed someone like him.
It's all about matchups to me for the Bucks.
Yeah. Chris Middleton's great. They're a very good team. I don't really see them being a championship team right now. I think that Giannis could have it in the future.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs a jumper necessarily, but he needs more moves around the basket.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you can't just steamroll people every time down the floor.
Yeah, from the top of the key.
They're gonna expect it, and then you're gonna get frustrated. And what also happens is Giannis also puts up a lot of empty stats. Where he'll have a 30 point, 18 rebound game, and they'll lose. But you think, well, Giannis had 30 and 18, so it's not Giannis' fault.
Yeah, it's BS.
So obviously, like there wasn't enough turnaround for him to improve significantly. I think this season they'll probably make it out of the second round, maybe. But I think next season is like finals or bust for them.
I feel that. And then you got the Nets and the Sixers at the end to round out the East. We've gone on a little long about the East, but the Nets, I mean, they got Blake. I don't think that does too much for them. I think he's just another option that can hit open shots and, good for when people trap Harden on pick and rolls. He can make nice reads, but I don't think it's any game changer.
I hate how they're treating
Blake Griffin from 2016
or
or 2015.
They're getting Lob City Blake. Like, you're not. You're getting someone who's afraid of contact.
Yeah.
And I understand why Blake's that way because he's afraid of getting hurt. Yeah. And it makes sense, but the fact is that's not what they need.
You think there's any chance? Yeah, I know. I mean, the only thing is, here's my thing though. This team is super talented. I think Harden's been impressive with the fact that he's kind of thrown out the I'm going to score points. It's more now
I'm going to win games.
Yeah, well, it's more I'm going to create a good shot for my team. So it's a lot of 30 and 10 type of thing. 25 and 12. And Kyrie, it's just so much more suited for Kyrie because here's the thing. This guy looks like a point guard. He's a complete mindset of a two. Yeah. He has no care in the world to try to get everybody else involved. What he wants to do is he wants to get buckets and he wants to be unguardable. Yeah. And I think it fits him better the way he's played now. I think the only problem with this team is Kevin Durant has been so in and out of the lineup that will they have that full chemistry? Well, are they talented enough to overcome the lack of games together? And now it's the second half of the season. You'd want to see for the Nets, KD, and because right now Kyrie and Harden are building some great chemistry. But what about all three of them together? Harden's not gonna have the ball in his hands a lot because the best player on this team is still Kevin Durant. Yeah,
I think I've been really impressed by Harden because he's with Houston. He was really focused on scoring as many points as he could. And in that interview that Kobe and T-Mac did with Rachel Nichols a few years ago, Kobe was like, I'm not, that's not winning basketball. That's great that that's incredible that he's putting those kind of numbers up, but he's never going to win doing that. And I think Harden recognized that. And he's on a team where he says, my primary goal is to score, is to help this team win games. And if that's by putting up 30, then that's by putting up 30. If that's by having 15 assists, that's by having 15 assists. Kyrie is definitely a two guard. And it really suits him. I don't think there's going to be a lot of chemistry issues when Durant comes back just because...
I wouldn't say it's chemistry issues. It's more like, are they going to be able to play at a level in which they're going to be able to win the championship, even with this guy having missed games?
I think so.
And then we have the Sixers. Obviously, Embiid is our MVP. Ben Simmons is my Defensive Player of the Year front runner right now. Yeah. I think Glenn's done a good job with this team. I think he's run the offense through Embiid, which makes Ben Simmons focus on defense, which is, honestly, in my opinion, great common sense. Yeah. I think it was so stupid to have Ben Simmons act like a Giannis and just dribble over the top of the key and run pick and rolls. Like, dude, this guy is not that. Like, you have one of the most talented big men in the last 20 years. Yeah. And you're using him that way. So credit to Glenn. I'll give it to him. If you had to pick right now, I don't know who you picked to get out of the East this year. Who you got? Nets?
At this point,
I don't think the Sixers are getting out of the East, man. I just think that I think they have the best chance of beating Brooklyn, but I would think that I don't know, man. I could see them getting upsetted by someone else.
It depends. It really depends on how much Durant plays in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If Durant is still in and out of the lineup in the playoffs,
I think he'll be there.
I think so too.
My thing is, does a team have the interior scorer to beat Brooklyn?
No.
It's not even a rim protector. It's more so, can somebody exploit an individual defender on the inside? Because they're going to try to switch everything. That's what they're going to try to do.
I think Embiid is dangerous to the point where, if in a series if it's Sixers Nets in a series, I think I would take the Sixers in 7.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Just because
I think if they win that series, they're going to the finals. I don't see Milwaukee being able to stop Embiid. I really just don't see anyone being able to stop Embiid, and then that causes a lot of other matchup issues.
Yeah, and they have more shooters now. So you got the Sixers coming out of the East?
I think so.
Wow. All right, let's go to the West. I mean, obviously we are a little more pressed for time, but I'm gonna say I don't need to talk about the Wolves. I'm gonna talk about the Rockets, the Kings, the Thunder. The Grizzlies are doing as expected. 16-16, I'd say, is pretty impressive for the injuries that they've had with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja. But Pelicans, 15-21, they've been shoved in our faces like crazy. I think it's a weirdly constructed roster. I mean, it's good to see Lonzo doing better. They have a huge problem closing out games. Yeah. Ingram, same thing as he was in LA, as I say. He doesn't close out games. I love him. I really like Ingram. Doesn't close out games. Zion, as great as he's played offensively, he's a complete lug on defense.
Yeah. I think the issue with Ingram is that Ingram needs to be the franchise player somewhere. And he wasn't in LA because of LeBron. He's not in New Orleans now because of Zion. And that's kind of that kind of doesn't work out for him because he doesn't fit in necessarily in the way that the Pelicans offense runs with Zion. And they run a lot of pick and rolls with Zion as the ball handler. And
do they?
Yeah.
Zion as the ball handler?
Yeah, they've been. I think they do like 15 or 16 a game with Zion as the ball handler, and then they have a guard screen for him, which causes a lot of matchup issues because if you have someone like J.J. Redick screening for Zion, then Redick's freed up for a jumper, or Zion's freed up for a bucket inside.
JJ may be having the worst season of his entire career.
Oh yeah, he's playing like garbage.
He's completely washed. It seems he's averaging 9 points a game.
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time he averaged under double figures, but what do you think about the Pels? Like, do you think they're going to make the...
No.
By the way, I mean, Steven Adams has missed a couple games, but do you think they're going to make the no playoffs? What about playing?
Maybe playing. What seed are they now? The 9th seed?
When are we going to start calling out this team for how disappointing they are? Like, what, if the national media is going to shove them in our face, everyone thought this team was going to be, don't see the Pelicans next year when Zion's healthy. Well, they're healthy and they're trash.
I wasn't expecting anything from
That's because you see Zion as he is.
But it's not that I even see Zion as he is. I just see the Pelicans as they are.
Yeah, I should say
right?
that's better. Like, that's a better way to say it. Not just Zion.
Zion's great, but he obviously needs to lose weight. It's his second year in the league.
They have a closing issue. And they have a
closing issue.
They have Eric Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball around Zion and a non-stretching center. That's not, ideal in today's league.
It's a poorly constructed team. They need to make some moves in the offseason. They're young. I think obviously they're shoving in our faces because of Zion.
They are.
Hey,
but here's the thing.
If Zion wasn't who he is and wasn't this big franchise name, no one would give a shit about the Pelicans.
I think if you're on the Pelicans, though, I got to make the play-in over Memphis. They're 9th and 10th right now. But what's funny is
they make the point. I think
the Pelicans have played 4 more games, almost all of them resulting in losses against the over the Grizzlies. Yeesh. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. The Warriors, I think they're doing exactly how we expected.
Yeah,
one game, but they're 9th right now. The Mavericks have jumped back into the playoff spots as they should. I think again, same thing as we said about Trae Young with Luka. He's a better version, but it's just Luka with the ball constantly. Yeah. And people make a ton of excuses for the rest. When Jalen Brunson, Josh Richardson, THJ, Trey Burke, these guys can all create.
The thing about Kristaps is when he's healthy, and if you get him in spots, he can be an unguardable player. I mean, I saw it in New York. But he needs to be
willing to get his ass in those spots,
I saw it in New York. If you get him in that 10 to 15 foot range, that high post, if his back is to the basket or face up, and like I said about Russ, if he gets a couple buckets inside, he gets a couple good touches in the mid range, then stretch him out to the 3-point line, there's nothing you can do to guard him. I think that the Mavs are doing a good job of pandering to the audience and knowing that, okay, what's best for the team what's best for the team's viewership and for the fans.
For Luka to have 30 and 10.
It's for Luka to have the ball, and that's fine because they know that they're not going to win a title.
Well, the thing is though, this is a predictable. It's the Clippers. We figured it out. It's like just get the when that happens, you just get the ball to Luka's hands at the top.
Yeah. And
then let them play 4-on-3 in like high pressure situations. It's just like not. It's like it's not the way you cohesively make everybody a threat. That's just like, we'd rather have Luka just get rid of the ball, and that comes from Luka needs to develop a little more off-ball game.
I just don't think they're trying to win a championship right now, and they're just trying to market the team a little better.
Most surprising team in the West for me, San Antonio Spurs sitting in the 7th spot, 18-14.
They're surprising and they're not surprising.
Yeah, because it's Pop, but
it's
still,
it's
man.
Pop and
DeJounte Murray,
Keldon
Johnson, these guys have been good.
They have
Patty Mills, dude.
They have a good roster and
a decent roster.
They have a decent roster, and they have a coach who's going to bring the best out of all the players. And then you have a good coaching staff. Becky Hammond's been doing a really great job. She's really, really active. I think Pop's probably going to retire in the next 3 years. I think he's looking for his way out.
Courting Becky to be the coach.
Yeah. Oh, Becky's definitely going to be the coach. I mean, she's the lead assistant.
Yeah.
So and this past offseason, her name was floated around to take a head coaching job somewhere, and she was just like, nah, I'm not. So it's clear that she's waiting for Pop to retire.
Yeah, if you look at the Spurs all around, DeRozan 20 a game, DeJounte Murray 16, Keldon Johnson 14, LaMarcus Aldridge 14, Patty Mills 13, Lonnie Walker 11, Rudy Gay 11. It's just a lot of guys in double figures, a lot of balance. Do you think that they finish in the playoff spots?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who's the team that misses out? Is it the Warriors or is it the Mavs?
Mavs.
Wow. They still just make the play-in?
Well, the only reason I think the Mavs is because we have their pick.
Oh, okay.
So we have their first round pick. So if they don't make the playoffs, then and they get a lottery pick, it's better for us.
Nuggets starting to do better at 21-15. Jokic just had a great season. They've really missed guys all over the season. Yeah. I think they'll be fine though. I think that this year though, I see them as a second round team. Exit.
Yeah, I think losing Jeremy Grant was a big loss.
Huge loss.
I mean,
unless they play Lakers or Clippers first round. Yeah. I don't think they're going to beat them in the first round.
No, but I still think it was a big loss. I still will not understand why he decided to leave a winning team
for the same amount of money.
For the same amount of money, a winning team in Denver for an awful team.
He wanted to put up stats, I guess. He wanted his own team.
Yeah, but
you don't agree with it.
I just if he was getting more money, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but it's the same amount of money. Like
But then you have the Blazers, who Dame's just, I think it's just safe to say, just Dame, Cantor, they've been killing it.
Yeah.
For CJ and Nurkic. But here's my thing. What?
When does CJ come back? Is he out for the season? Or?
No, he's not out for the season. I think he's going to come back. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but I think it's going to be the same as normal, though. It's an amazing Dame carry job, and they're going to lose in the first round. I just think.
Yeah, they'll make it. I
love Dame, but
it depends on who they get in the first round. I think it's obviously possible that they make it to the second round.
It's going to be tough, man.
It'll be tough. I don't want to count them out. I do think that they're most likely a first-round exit team. It just depends on where they finish. It depends on if the Mavs continue to improve. I think that they're kind of at a point where they're going to plateau just because, they're not. Rick Carlisle's not really doing much to change the offense. He's not. So.
That's what I'm really surprised at because he's such a smart coach, but he's become they just do the modern garbage.
Yeah.
Let's talk about to end it off with the big four in the end.
Yeah.
Clippers at the 4 seed right now, 24-14. The Lakers are half a game above, 24-13. The Suns have propelled to second, 24-11. I had them fifth. They've really impressed, but I think there's too much to say about the Suns. I think that I cover them all the time, and I've said a lot about Ayton, about Book, about Chris Paul. I think Book's been unbelievable. I think Chris Paul's been. It's awesome how he still continues to go strong. My question to you is, and Monty Williams has been amazing. James Jones for building the team. Mikal Bridges. Shout out to all the Suns. They've been killing it. Do you see them as a guarantee to get out of the first round this year?
The Suns?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that you can't say they're a guarantee
to
get out of the first round because depending on the matchup, and also this is like the first time they've been where they are.
Yeah, so, it's a new thing for them.
Suns
haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years.
Exactly. So,
11 years actually.
Since Nash, right?
Since 2010, yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that's new for all of them. And you don't know how they're going to perform in the playoffs. You don't know how Book is going to perform in the playoffs. You know what you're going to get from CP, but you don't know what you're going to get from Ayton and Bridges.
I think Book's going to be great in the playoffs.
I do too, but you don't know that. That's the thing is that some players, playoff time they come and they just go into another gear.
I think fans may help though.
And some players, they go into playoffs and they just
don't play as well.
They just don't play as well. Like DeRozan, yeah. And like I said, this is Book's first playoff series, and I think I want to say that they're going to be a first round. They're going to make it out of the first round. I think depending on the matchup they get in the second round, they could make it to the Western Conference Finals. I think the Clips have been better.
Yeah, just the problem is Kawhi and Paul George miss games constantly, so we don't build any rhythm in terms of winning streaks anymore. And we have a serious problem closing out games because Kawhi can't get by anybody at the end of games and doesn't want to get in the post either to make it easier for himself to get around the basket. No. And then Paul George doesn't get enough calls, so he settles for jumpers too much and doesn't go up strong half the time. And then we just fall into the ISO trap.
Yeah. But, I mean, you talk about the Clippers a lot on here, so
it's not,
everyone knows.
Same with the Lakers. To me, it's just AD getting healthy. I think LeBron's been awesome. I think that he's getting way too much credit from the sexuals, though. Way too much, because he's still taking games off. We've seen it. He plays, but...
Yeah, but, I mean, I'd rather have LeBron taking games off while playing than have...
No, I know that. I would rather, too. I'm just saying...
Yeah.
And we're talking MVPs.
Yeah.
It's not the same as Embiid,
he's not MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, his only MVP argument is that he's in year 18 or 19 or whatever.
Yeah.
And that he's 36. Like those are his only credible
and
MVP
he's playing
arguments.
A lot of games because
he plays well and stuff like that. Which is give LeBron all the credit he deserves. He's been playing phenomenal basketball and
amazing out.
He's truly the leader of this team. And I'm concerned when AD comes back. I think he's gonna come back even softer.
That's. I was gonna say that's when I think may prevent them from winning the championship. Is AD not gonna be 100%? Is he not gonna be up to scratch? And then LeBron makes some mistakes along the way too.
If the Lakers get Philly, in the finals,
here's what
if the Lakers get Philly in the finals, I'm taking Philly in 7.
Here's what I think though. I think if the Lakers get to the championship, the only team I think that can beat them is Brooklyn, because I just feel as though they will expose AD because he's gonna have to be the difference in that series.
Yeah, but I think the same thing with the Sixers.
Yeah, I feel you. I just think that Embiid is more willing to go in the post than AD. He's more willing to be aggressive. That's why I think they can beat them easier. The other thing with the Lakers is if because here's the thing, we're ending with the Jazz. I mean, the Jazz have been great. Yeah. Whether you think they're pretenders or not. If the Lakers, to beat the Jazz this year with all the chemistry they have, they're going to need a great AD. So if AD needs to play well, if he's playing to the level where, the Lakers beat the Jazz, maybe they beat the Clippers along the way or something, they get to the finals, to me, I think that the Lakers are the favorite. They should win.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for AD.
It just depends on, because the thing is that if you have Anthony, the Sixers, you have Ben Simmons is playing great defense this year, and I think if they do run a man-to-man defense, and you have Ben on LeBron, that's the best you can do against him.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to guard Embiid. Is it going to be AD? AD's too soft. Is it going to be Mark? Mark's too slow.
AD.
Is it going to be Trez? Trez is not good defensively.
I have more confidence in Anthony Davis guarding Embiid than scoring on him.
Yeah. But the thing is that I think Embiid's not afraid to beat you up. And so what's going to happen is AD's going to guard him, and he's not afraid to kind of get beat up defensively. But the thing is, he's going to be even more hesitant to go inside and attack offensively because he just took a beating on the defensive end.
Yeah, and this is only if they meet in the finals, of course.
And then the thing is that with Embiid is that Embiid can guard the 3-point line. You look at someone like Olajuwon, for instance, and you look at that Game 6 against the Knicks. The reason they won that series and the reason they won that game is because Olajuwon was quick enough to switch on that pick and roll and was quick enough to pick Starks up and contest that shot. Who knows if he wasn't quick enough and didn't contest the shot and Starks hits it, But the thing is, Embiid is quick enough to do that. Embiid's quick enough to guard someone off the dribble and to help off a pick and roll and to be a legitimate defensive threat wherever he is on the court. So I really just hope that Anthony Davis comes back aggressive. He comes back hungry. He comes back ready to play. I really don't want to see him on the fucking 3-point line. Get some buckets. Then once everyone's drawing towards you, once they're drawing doubles, then take a couple corner threes, but don't Don't fucking.
biggest-
You're not a fucking point guard.
My biggest thing is this: the two things. Lakers' biggest concern is getting AD back healthy and getting it. Because in my opinion, if you don't get a great Anthony Davis like we saw last year, you're not getting out of the West.
No,
You're
absolutely not.
Clippers closing problems and health.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
The Jazz aren't. I mean, I would be surprised if the Jazz made the finals.
Yeah, me too.
I think they get bounced out in the second or third round.
Second or third. They're definitely getting into the second round.
Yeah.
I think that if they can avoid the LA teams, they're definitely getting to the conference finals.
Yeah.
My question to you is to end it off. Who you got coming out of the West still? Lakers still?
Lakers.
I'd say so too.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for tonight. Right around the hour, or tonight. That's it for today. Right around the hour. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the second half of the season. Who you got going to the finals? Peace out. And you'll probably see Lucas in the playoffs. Hopefully, we'll talk about some Knicks basketball.
Hopefully.
Peace.
Peace. Thank you.